All right, we are live on Bear Sheath Farm, ladies and gentlemen, with your host Levite Khan. Now, that being said, I'm making sure that everything is going well enough here, and that. So, if you don't see it live, hopefully you'll see it later, and hopefully you'll share it. I'm not making any money off of this. I'm just trying to give the information out, uh, hoping that somebody will get it, as then will live by it, and do something about it with his or her own personal life and others he or she can influence. Now, before I do start on my title, is there a pattern here? Three question marks. My wife had a message months ago about doing a a debunking video on pre-trib rapture. As you know, we do not believe in pre-trib rapture. It's deceptive. It's a scam. And I've been putting it off. Has it been 5-6 months? Something like that, you think? Yeah. And the reason why is, one thing, I've done videos on it, and I think I've done a pretty good job, even though we deleted all those things. Another thing is that I just get tired of giving the message and people being stupid, frankly, and that, like, especially the subject I'm about to go over. But we will be doing a video. I guess I'll be giving the information. I'll give the information that my wife put on. I have to read over it again, and I'll be doing my own as well. And I know it'll go into sync. We are evenly yoked, so very soon I'll do a video on why the pre-tribulation rapture is false. Now, moving on here. As you know, I've been given information on how to self-prepare, how it can be done, how we've had to make adjustments. We were very successful in the state of Florida before we were hijacked, and then we've been having to relearn. Well, not relearn, but learn a new area of the country and make some adjustments, adapt. It's been pretty tough. However, Elohim is blessing us thus far this year. We have things growing. We have good bed gardens going. I have one that I'm working really hard on to start for next year. And we are going to have a lot of things growing in there in the season of 2027, which is also a controversial year coming up. But folks, let's go back in history. It's really quite recent, even though people have short attention spans, they have memory loss, whatever the case is. You remember back in 2020 with coronavirus and how things started out. Just a couple people getting it, nothing to be concerned about. And then it moved on, and next thing you know, there were lockdowns all over the country, both red and blue states. How people handle it, how some of the red states got out of it sooner than others. We went through it, and just the stupidity of face masks, which I still, every now and then you'll see somebody wearing a face mask to this day. Please pardon my speech here. I am missing a lot of teeth. But that being said, folks, I'm looking at things here and I'm seeing a pattern. In 2020, when this came about, things started going to hell in a handbasket. Schools were, eventually shut down. Businesses were shut down. Small ones went out of business. Some were never able to make a comeback. They were giving out the COVID shot, the vaccine, supposedly. And never before in my life had I seen anything like it. They had this vaccine going out before it was even approved within just a few months, 2-3 months. And then after that, they approved it, and it was still less than a year into it. And that just isn't normal. The FDA takes anywhere from 10 to 15 years. I know this because we used to talk with us I used to talk about this with my fellow aides, nursing assistants and home health aides, and with our team leader, licensed practical nurses, and the ones above them, the registered nurses, so on and so forth. I remember typing it up, what was the average time for the FDA to approve a drug, and this was in October something of 2021, and at the time it read 12 years. Now, later as time went on, Google took it down, had all these warp speed program articles you could look into, and I did read some of them back then. Now, last time I looked just a few months ago, they were back to it could take 10 to 15 years. And although those speed program articles are still there, now what they're doing today, I'm not really sure. I'd have to Google it up, but I didn't. I got an article here on my smartphone. Let me look it up. Okay, because now there's a high school student from Geneva High School in upstate New York, Ontario County. And look, I didn't just go through a nursing home program. I went through a real tech college. Duluth Technical College is what it was called at that time. Since then, a long time ago, they changed it to Lake Superior College. I think it's still that name today, but anyway, it doesn't matter. But like this comes from, and I don't know if we can make this, probably not. I can't probably make it out. The reason why I use my phone sometimes is because I have an easier time getting into the articles on my smartphone than I do on this doggone laptop. But this is from News 10, and it's Adelissa Badzik, News 10 NBC, updated May 16 of 2026. That's just technically yesterday, 5:50 a.m. Published originally the day before, May 15th of 2026, 4:48 p.m. I'm guessing since it's New York, they must mean Eastern time. I don't know, because they're Eastern up there. Basically, it reads, Geneva, New York, a suspected case of hantavirus has been identified in Ontario County involving a Geneva high school student. News 10 NBC's Adelissa Badzik spoke with residents in Ontario County about the case. Many said they are not worried because the local strain does not spread from person to person, but they plan to take some precautions. Remember how COVID started 6 years ago, folks. Sherry Colibers, an Ontario County resident whose family owns a barn, says she has no real concerns at this point. Washing our hands more when we come in from the barn or when we're out. Washing hands is going to be a big deal, Colbert said. Look, as a homesteader, that's nothing new to me. I mean, yeah, I deal with a lot of chicken poop and dog poop, and, you wash your hands and you come in the house. It's just kind of normal for that kind of a lifestyle. But anyway, Tim Jacking, owner and operator of Pest Express LLC, serves Ontario, Monroe, Wayne, and Livingston counties. He said he does not have any concerns at this time, but has been receiving calls from worried residents. Keep your yard clean. Keep your home clean and free of clutter and debris. Rodents like to harbor in those areas. The more that you can, and the more that you clean up those areas, and the less harbor areas you have, the more likely you'll be not to live with rodents, Jackling said. Okay, before I continue to the next paragraph, folks, on a homestead, we had a problem with rats, and that can be an issue. Well, I bought two different types. Well, more than that, but in the end, I used two types of poison bars, and 2.5 months it took to get rid of those things. Those big muskrat, kind of rats are those?
Wood rats.
Wood rats and that. But we got her done. We didn't want them trying to get into our coops to kill our chickens. Some of them actually did do it because we had a coop that wasn't very well secured. We've had that done for a year, I'd say. Anyway, he said the data shows there is not much risk. You have a better chance of hitting the Powerball today than you have of getting this virus, Jacqueline said. Now, keep that in mind. They're quoting this. If you play the Powerball, you stand a better chance than getting this hantavirus. Dr. Anja Butler, Service Line Division Chief for Infectious Disease at Rochester Regional Health, said hantavirus has been around for a long time. She is correct about that. It's nothing new. Since the mid-1900s, there have been about 900 cases nationwide and 6 in New York State. It is a very uncommon infection, Butler said. Okay, now I don't know if those stats are right, but if you're talking 900 cases since the mid-1990s, I should say, not the 1900s, you're talking 30 to 35 years. That's not very many. And again, if you're letting rodents, rats, mice, that sort of deal in, yeah, you stand a better chance of getting it. Duh. My wife, too, she cleans the house. She's very articulate with it. She's very tenacious with it. It's a daily thing for her. Sometimes 2 or even 3 times a day. On a slow day for her, it might be once. The virus is transmitted through mouse droppings, saliva, or urine. The initial symptoms typically start between 7 and 14 days after exposure and include fever, headache, and feeling run down. In some cases, the virus can cause severe pneumonia. Butler said there is no treatment for hantavirus except supportive care. The best way to stay safe is to control rodents in and around your home. Well, okay, I just talked about that, how we do it. How we did it with the poison bars and how we do it with keeping the house clean. You do not want to try to start vacuuming and sweeping and mixing this up and aerosolizing these droppings, Butler said. The strain found in New York does not spread person to person. Keep that in mind, too. Quote him on that later. It does not spread from person to person. The Ondus virus, which has some reported transmission between people, is not found in New York or any eastern part of the United States. Dr. Butler said this is very different from COVID-19. Health officials are using this case as an opportunity to spread awareness about using masks and other protective measures when cleaning areas where rodents may have been present. Okay, and I could get more articles on this. Again, this comes from News 10, Rochester, New York. I suppose I could play this, but I'm not going to. Just sit there and play this thing for you people on the video. It's News 10. Adelisa Badzik, News 10 NBC. I really don't like NBC at all, but whatever. Look, we went through this. Let's check out 2020. Let's go back and reminisce a little bit about 2020 with COVID-19. Coronavirus. Call it what you will. We had such concerned people for us that love and care for us so much, such as Bill Gates, George Soros, his son Alex, Klaus Schwab, and of course the brilliant, wonderful Dr. Tony Anthony Fauci himself. I'd love to see that man in shackles one day, although I don't think Trump has the balls to do it. It was in 2020, not too long. I mean, before the vote, before we voted for the presidential election and again, and which was nothing but a damn scam. And Mike Pence did not have the guts to check it out. And he had the authority to do it. The sitting vice president has the authority to do the recount. But But he's an establishment sort of guy. He didn't want to rock any boats. There was no reason for Kamala Debbie Harris to do it 4 years later because it was obvious, even despite some of the cheating in California and wherever, it was pretty obvious she lost. It was a valid win again. Now we are having this Hunter, and for that matter, the norovirus happened before the midterm elections. Okay, there's a similarity there. We are having it start out very slow, that it's not getting. The strain doesn't go from person to person. Now, I'm trying to remember, but COVID, it went... I do believe COVID exists. I want to make that clear. It's been around for a long time. And if you get sick with whatever, you do the right thing. You stay home. You wait till you get better and that before you go back to work or your normal life. You know, like me, my full-time job is doing the homestead. If I felt sick, I just wouldn't go out into town and do whatever. Now, that being said, folks, you know, that's not like when I grew up as a kid when you'd get the influenza, whatever strain of it. But they said the strain wasn't anything to be concerned about. Next thing you know, the numbers were piling up. People were supposedly dying left and right. Deb and I, with our vehicle at the time in Florida, I drove, I don't know, to 5 hospitals, by them. It was just normal cars. I mean, the lot that was full was the employee parking lot. Mm-hmm. We didn't see long lines of people that looked like they were about ready to kick the bucket, like we were being shown on YouTube and that. And I don't have a vehicle right now. If I did, I'd be very tempted to go by the hospitals that are in our area now. And I know it's not happening there. I've been to it enough. I went and had an operation done for me about 17 miles from here. My wife was in the same hospital before that twice for 2 operations, one for her hip and another for her knee. And so I know pretty much where to go. And that's not the only hospital I would hit. But for some odd reason, it just supposedly got way out of hand. And our wonderful government overlords and politicians, and that wanted to... they locked us down, had people wear masks. And let me tell you something else, too, about air. Something's airborne. I mean, the parents had to be doing something really stupid. And the reason why I say that now is that their children are getting older. Not all of them, but a lot of them. I'd have to check out the percentages, but a lot of children that are of age, and when they're 8 to 10, 12 years old, yeah, they talk like children. I get it, but they talk normal. You can hear them. You can make out clearly what they're saying, and a lot of them you can't. They're having to take speech therapy because they didn't see the lips move. I mean, if you have a baby and they're watching your lips, they don't even realize you're doing it, but they are learning. They are in the process. Well, even these people that were stuck at home with their babies and their toddlers, they had to be wearing their masks in their houses, their apartments, and whatever. If the child that's anywhere from 8 to 12, 13 years old cannot speak properly, I mean, they must have been sleeping with those masks. I mean, I don't get it. I don't know why people are the way they are. It blows my mind.
Some of them wearing 2 to 3 of them.
Look, I think there's some vaccines coming up in the near future for hantavirus. Are they? I don't know if they're getting any now, but my wife's making signs to me that you can get them now. I don't know what.
They already got them out. They started making them back in 2015.
What do you mean 2015?
Yeah.
What do you mean by 2015?
2015, they started making the
You mean 2015 then?
Yep. They started making the hantavirus, and now they're just popping it out like we got it.
Well, we'll see how long it takes for them to come up with norovirus. Look, we eat decent. We have our own food to an extent. We still are grocery shopping, but we've been known to butcher a few of our chickens. We did recently. I butchered a big rooster. We ate it. It's about as pure as it gets these days. we watch what we buy at the store, and we're hoping that down the road by next year we're pretty much over 90% self-sufficient with our food like we were in Florida. But you eat healthy, you do mild exercise, you do mental health, you do mental exercises, to work the brain. Keep yourself clean enough, with your hygiene and stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. Look, it's not like I've never been sick. I don't have the Delta 32 gene, those people who never get sick, but I do have a good, strong immune system. It's because I exercise, I eat well, I eat healthily, and I'm very cautious about what I do. So, I don't know why you're giving me that comment. Your time of color. I don't even know what anyway, but that being said, when we look at this, and I'm a Jew, by the way, just so you know. Hold on. All right. So that being said, folks, we're shalom back, I hope. Anyway, folks, are we going to go through this again? That's my question to you. People stupidly and blindly followed this stuff last 6 years ago. Some of them are still, like I just said earlier, wearing masks now. They're getting their updated shots for COVID and so on. I don't know if they're on shot 14, shot 16, and so on. I really don't know. I believe, I can't prove it, but I do still believe my mother, my adopted mother who raised me, I think she died sooner than she had to because she had 4 of them at that time. Try to, but you talk to, a family member, and it's like Yahshua said, prophet hath honor except in his hometown, and that means your family too. I'm not a prophet. I don't want you to get that idea. I'm just very well studied, and I'm obedient to Elohim. Now, that being said, folks, but what we went through and the way people defend it, and here's the other thing about COVID shot. They may have the ingredients on there now, which I don't believe they're doing, honestly, but just let's say for the sake of discussion that they are. They may have the ingredients on there now, but in 2020, when it was being brought out, it was nothing, just a blank paper. And that really irked me to no end. I'm a former CNA and HHA, Certified Nursing Assistant and Home Health Aide. Yeah, I do a lot of research. I read incessantly in that, and I think I catch on quite fast. However, I am not a medical doctor. I guess what got me is most medical doctors hey Lionheart, how you doing? With the medical doctors, I mean, they didn't even question. I mean, a few of them did, and they lost. Some of them lost their medical license, and the ones that didn't still were kicked out of their elite doctor clubs, where they get together and that. But most of them, they didn't care. It's like they didn't even have the capacity to question it. And the one, and the ones that did have the capacity didn't have the guts to do it. That, a person who has 10 years of schooling, unless they changed it, maybe I'm out of date, but you get your 4-year degree, then you get around 3 years if you're accepted into med school, and I believe 3 years of internship, and still testing in that and whatever. And they did not have, a lot of them didn't have the EQ to question why there were no ingredients. Here, This is our vaccine. Just give it to your patients. Don't ask. How stupid can you be? But are we going to go through this again? I talked to a brother on his panel a little bit earlier, and he just said, yeah, I think we are. Not him, not me, but there's just a lot of people who are going to fall for this nonsense again. I hope not. I'd like to be positive, and hope that people learn their lesson, and I think a few have. I am not here to start a brigade. I'm not one into protesting and that, but I can tell you this. If everybody just keeps trying to do their normal thing, they go to the stores and don't wear masks. They go to the restaurants, don't do any. Think about it, what they did 4 and 5 and 6 years ago to eat. I watched people do it. They have their mask on. They're going to quick take a bite of food. You remember that? Oh. I mean, I don't know. It blows my mind. How stupid just blows my mind. And these are full-grown adults. People have been so drawn down. But just the stuff we went through. And I think it was a test of people, see how they would react. Like I said, Deb and I and the kids at that time. I mean, we had to. There were, even where we lived, yeah, they were actually pretty good about it and tried to maintain a normal life as much as they could. But there were certain places you couldn't go into that were closed down and that. But if there were places you could, and they didn't want us to come in without a if they wanted you to wear a mask, I just turned right the hell out. Go find. I'll go spend my money on someone else, on some other company or store. I've done a lot of buying too for this. Well, it used to be New Homestead. We actually been here longer than we have at the old one, and but the thousands of dollars I had to put into new tools and chickens and livestock and whatever. I was all over in stores and stuff, and I just, I hope people try to do that. Don't let yourself be a victim again. Okay? I know Bill Gates will do the right thing and come up with another great, wonderful vaccine. He's so caring. That eugenicist piece of trash. Yeah. But, I haven't had a vaccine for, well, last time I was in 91, I think, in the Army. But there was one time, now that I think about it, I had to get a flu shot to stay in a program. And I prayed to Elohim not to let it affect me. And I don't think to my knowledge, it didn't. 2014. And I won't do it now. I shouldn't have done it then. It was a flu vax. I won't do it now.
Now it's mRNA and everything.
Well, yeah, we can get into mRNA with the eggs, like we have our own eggs here to eat. In the stores, they're mRNA, and the ones that aren't directly, it's because they were grown in a lab. It's just, go watch what you buy for food. Read at the labels and said,
cultured or something like that.
So that being said, folks, I'm watching a similar pattern. A scamdemic that's coming out very slowly, nothing to be worried about. That happened over 6 years ago. And more people supposedly, without any proof, were dying. They didn't really start dying until they got this. School, then everything started getting shut down. The whole world practically got shut down. And some people have never been able to make a comeback since financially. I didn't have my own, well, we had our own business in the sense of a homestead, but I didn't have my own business and, and to the point where I had to send employees home and that. But that, I have this odd feeling this is going to happen again, and we as a people need to take this differently and say, hey, I'm going to get my car and I'm going to drive to that store. I'm going to drive to my friend's house. We're going to have our get together to fry up or cook up steaks with the grill. I'm going to visit my grandmother, which I don't have live grandmothers anymore, but you get my point. Yeah, and if everybody does that, these people with businesses need to stay open. They need to stay open. Now, how many are going to take that advice? I don't know. If it's only a few, they'll have more than enough room in the jail cells for them. But if everybody does it, I don't know about that. So I just I thought I'd bring this up for a little bit. We're getting going very well with our homestead now that we've had to relearn the area and take things differently. And I firmly believe that Elohim is blessing us and we'll be a lot more self-sufficient by next year. We're getting there already. And that. So, and I hope that people are able to take the hint. Okay, share this video. It's nothing charismatic. I'm just giving you hard, cold facts of history, the way it was dealt with, the way people laid down and took their beatings. I mean, look at all the problems we had. I've already mentioned speech therapy for children. People started drinking a lot more. People got depressed. They were suicidal and so on. And, there were a lot more mental health issues coming up because of being stuck in their houses and apartments and whatever. So when I say those things, folks, let's not let this happen again. If you have productive comments for me or questions, I'm cool with that. I'll try to address it. If you're going to be a good-for-nothing little useless, idiotic troll, I'll just delete your comment or question, sarcastic question. I'm not going to people's panels again. Like Eric's, I can go to his. I have no problem with that. I'm not going to go to other people's panels to be interrogated. That is not going to happen this time. I have to admit and take my responsibility. Part of me enjoyed it. It was immature fun, but it got old and wore off very quickly. And it really got old when people potentially endangered my family's life. That part, there was never any humor in that for me. But endangering your life, I mean, look at the stuff that. It makes sense. If you want to get a virus going and have people vulnerable to it, I guess it makes sense to have them sit like couch potatoes in their houses all day. It makes sense to give them crap food where all the nutrition is gone. I remember this all too well. And I did research very thoroughly back then. I wasn't the only one. Even for a small channel like this, I got struck to the point, videos taken down to the point where my channel was in jeopardy for a little while. They had the Nazi thing going on with the Democrats and wanted to censor your speech because you didn't agree with them. And they can accuse the Republicans all they want. Not that all Republicans are wonderful, they're not, but I think they gave me a warning about another strike and take my channel down. You eventually get it back after a few years, I think. I just quit doing it. Because I thought about going to Rumble and BitChute and that and doing it. I thought, nah. There's enough people doing it right now that are giving great advice like I am. Accurate information. And that being said, I thought I've done my part. So I quit. I quit for a few years. We'll see if this video gets it or not. If they take it down, they take it down. like I said, try to share it, folks. I'm former medical. I kind of know the pattern and how they're supposed to do things, and that, and how it was put way out of whack in 2020. And now I'm just finding out that, yeah, for hantavirus, they already got a vaccine supposedly that damn fast. Come on. It doesn't work that way. I'm not going to get into all the ingredients that I found out on Rumble about COVID vaccine. It's just, woo. No wonders people were dropping dead. No wonders that documentary died suddenly. I mean, that was eye opening for me.
Yeah, it caused a lot of blood clots for people. Even
Yeah.
two people in my own family got them.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember that. They did not have blood clots before they took that vaccine. But same thing. We have elections coming up, not the presidential, but we have midterm elections for the House and the Senate, and a lot of local elections. So, and all of a sudden, this is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Deja vu.
Deja vu, to say the least. So, one thing I will say too is the warp speed and all that, and the scamdemic was during Trump's first term. I don't know how guilty or innocent he is. Again, I'm not a Trump lover by any stretch. He's the best president we could have right now. I will say that, and that's not saying much, but I could only imagine if Harris would have won that. Whew. Oh boy. Those almost 3 million illegals that have been that have turned themselves in, they take the $1,000 and go back to their home countries, and also the one, out of that, the ones that have been detained by ICE and Border Patrol, and that have been detained, and some that have been deported, that they'd still be here on the streets, pretty much. Plus, how many more millions would be coming through by now? How long has Trump been back in? Since February 2025. That's 17 months ago. Probably over 10,000, 12,000 a month, at least. Probably more. Because they figured 20 million from 21 to 25. Use simple math. It's more than 10, 12,000 a month. But but at the same time, Trump, this code came up when he was in his first term, and now this is coming up. So, I'm just looking at this whole thing going, man, this is so, it's just so deja vu. It's so similar, and people need to stand up. They need to do what they need to do to fight this now. Don't get me wrong. I'm not condoning any violence. I don't want that going on. Self-defense is one thing. But at the same time, too, if we had to, I just don't think we could as a nation, as an average. I think the Boston Tea Party days are gone, sadly. So too many soy boys in this world. But I've given you this information. I don't know what else to say. Again, folks, I will, within the next week, give you a video about why there will be no pre-trib rapture. Okay? I will go through the scriptures that I get. They're rolling off my head right now. I will read what my wife typed up and saved on this laptop. She put a lot of time and energy into it, worked real hard with it. And that's so, and I think you people deserve to see that, because we're not getting out of any of this. We're not getting raptured out of anything with this. As far as a rapture up on and harpazo, yeah, that's going to happen, but you're talking at the end of the tribulation. Yeshua's he's going to come down and straighten this all up quick. But folks, thank you for listening. Thank you for those of you who will listen in advance. Thank you for those of you who will share it and give it to others, as well as doing another can't talk, as well as me doing a video later on pre-trib rapture very soon. I am also going to get ready to give more information on what you can grow. That's good stuff to eat. And I think I'll try to stick some stuff in there about the Lone Star ticks.
New skeeters.
And how the new, I might bring up the new mosquitoes, but we'll see how much information I get on that. But in the meantime, you folks take care. You stay safe in Yahshua. Keep God's commandments. And the Levite man is out of here.